Welcome to the Red Stream. Today we are talking about what's new with Unwritten. And I know that you are incredibly excited for this because I am excited for this because Unwritten is one of my favorite projects to come out of Mist. And that's because we all know that Unwritten is really cool and requires no introduction because Unwritten really gives us as Mist players, as Mist fans, the chance to tell our stories in Cyan's worlds in our own ways. Now, that's probably not an excellent introduction to it because I'm not exactly the creator or caretaker. So, to talk about it, I'd like to hand it over to Ellery and to V, the people who are actually responsible for this magical creation. And I'd like them to be able to talk about it.
Good morning, everyone, and good afternoon, and good evening, and all of the time zones. It's morning here in the Seattle area, and it is raining, as is the norm over here, even in the middle of summer. I am Ellery Hamilton. I am the co-creator, co-author, chief cat herdess, um, project manager, doer of many things with Unwritten and Inkworks. And I've been in the Mist community for forever and a day, I think. So, I'm around. And I worked on this project with my lovely wife V, who this was pretty much her idea. She said, "What do you think about?" And I went, "Ooh." So there she is.
Hi, I'm V. I'm the primary developer of Unwritten, and another one of the people in charge of Inkworks. And I've been, a Myst fan since the beginning of Uru Prime. And as Ellery said, I kind of came up with the idea for Unwritten, which was that I wanted to kind of introduce my two big fandoms to each other. I wanted all my Myst friends to to start role-playing games so I could play games with them. And I wanted all my role-playing friends to understand what I was talking about when I kept talking about Myst all the time. So I decided to combine the two and wrote Unwritten. Um, there are lots of other details and bumps in the meantime, but that's kind of where we are.
So one of the things that happened in this last year is that Unwritten was acquired by Cyan Ventures, which was a huge deal for us. The amount of screeching and flailing and oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, that happened at our house when the discussion first opened up with Cyan was pretty impressive. And I think we're still a little bit gobsmacked. We've always been super honored and humbled by the fact that they trusted us to play in their universe and that they wanted to bring us on board as, a Cyan property, as a Cyan thing, was pretty amazing. And since then, we've been talking with them about, what ideas have we had, what have we wanted to do with Unwritten, what's our pie in the sky, and then also what's our, practical, what do we want to get done. One of the things was that, Unwritten kind of existed in this quasi-canon, not canon space. We were really clear in the book that, there were things that we were going to put in that were going to conflict with canon. Or speculate about things that weren't hard canon, partially because there were decisions that we needed to make about presenting the universe in a way that role-playing game people could take that information and go. Mm-hmm. So whereas fans, we happily sit and debate and speculate, and you should hear some of the discussions we get into about the art around here. but for some other bits, we had to go, is it A, is it B, or can we say you choose? So we had, disclaimers every which way that, this is not canon. If Cyan says this is wrong, Cyan is right. So as a part of Cyan Ventures, we've been able to talk with them now and say, where does Unwritten fit in the Denis universe? And what we've come up with is that there's a Denis extended universe. A little bit like Marvel has the comics, and then the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and they're not always exactly the same, but they're all considered real. That's kind of where we're going. It's going to be called the Unexplored Branches. And that's going to be a new exploration of canon and a new exploration of the possibilities, the unexplored branches of the great tree of possibilities. And Unwritten is considered part of the one of those branches. Unwritten is part of the Unexplored Branches universe, and that's super exciting for us.
Exactly. I mean, we looked at things like Star Wars, where they had an extended universe, which had no didn't prevent the movies from going in the directions they wanted to. And in our discussions with Cyan, we both, Cyan and us, decided that would be the best place for Unwritten. So the Unexplored Branches are the is the official Cyan extended universe, which all the Unwritten products so far and what's coming are going to be in that extended universe. That's not the only thing the extended universe will be, but for right now, that's the primary thing. Is that we'll be Unwritten. It will continue, and it will continue to develop under this aegis. And we continue to work with Cyan. We spend a lot of time talking to Ryan Warsheka, and hope I didn't mispronounce that. But yeah, so it's exciting. We have a lot of exciting ideas, and whether it be more stuff for Unwritten or what we're calling Apocrypha, which is sort of the idea for things that are fan fiction and things that are out there that don't mesh with canon at all. But we have some ideas of presenting possibilities that don't necessarily mesh with canon, but can use Denis and Myst as a starting point. And so we'll be doing things in this sort of unexplored on our unexplored branches, and as well as kind of going into left field with some Apocrypha.
Yeah, I think this opens up a lot of possibilities. Somebody noted on chat on Discord yesterday that on the Unwritten website we have a place where you can create an age using the Unwritten framework, and submit it to us, and we might need to clean it up mechanically, but we love sharing ages that people have come up with for their Unwritten games or for other things. The suggestion was made is, have we tried to take any of the fan created ages over on the shards and make them into Unwritten ages? And it was like, no, I haven't. Oh my gosh, why haven't I done that? Why hasn't anybody done that? So that gets added to our list of ideas, which grows daily. Believe me. One of the exciting things that's it's still very tenuous. It's not a done deal. Is that since the first time we sat down and started working on Unwritten, I was like, I want live action role-play rules for this. I want LARP rules, because I love physical puzzles. If you were at Mysterium in Spokane a few years ago, and I did some puzzles around, physical puzzles around Cyan for the marker missions. and it was things like, there was this balloon flower and you had to pop the balloon to get the marker that was inside the flower. And I go for that sort of level of crazy with with making physical puzzles. So I've always wanted to have a framework for Unwritten to be played in person. And we're starting to talk with some people about that who have experience making live action rules and have a really good grounding in those sorts of mechanics and how to make them work, and how to translate a physical tabletop game, a physical, you roll dice, to, okay, now you're doing things, standing around in the real world. Um, it'd be really awesome to be able to use those to play in Mist Online. Um, that would be a great thing to be able to do, to actually play in Cavern. So that's
And
kind
I'll
of some of the stuff we're talking about.
and I'll note that on the Minkata shard right now, there's a dice roller included in the client, so that you can roll gaming dice and roll fate dice. And hopefully that will turn out not to be buggy and move over to Mist Online when things start moving over there. So, if you want to play around with the dice roller and Minkata, go for it. But yeah, we're hoping to kind of get into all sorts of different spaces with role playing.
Yeah. So I guess start firing questions at us if people have them.
Yeah, I'm looking at the document here. See,
I think
one.
Kat was gonna read them off. So.
Oh, you want to do it? Okay.
Yeah, or however you want to do.
Or if he can, I'm happy to share off either way.
Go for it. Go for it, Kat.
Interview us.
Sure. So, I mean, you actually technically answered one of mine that I asked, but I was going to ask it anyway because I can do that. I will abuse my powers for the second time today.
Oh, good.
I don't know if y'all saw the Stefan Martiniere one, but I definitely was abused that earlier and was like, I heard you worked on Batu earlier at him. I was going to say, will Unwritten only have, traditional tabletop products like the RPG supplements, the rules? I know at some point y'all had talked about doing additional source book work. For those of you who maybe aren't familiar with the terms I'm throwing around, by the way, for those of you who aren't full-time tabletop gamers, supplement source books might include things like, here's a book that are full of ages that you could use. So you could open it up and it would have ages statted out for you that you might want to use, or pre-made adventures that people could use, or some characters. So my question was going to be, will it just have source books like that, or will you ever have Unwritten branded products that are like books of fiction or short stories, things that people could use as inspiration for their unwritten tales?
Yeah. I would love to be able to do shared world anthology type stuff at some point. If you're familiar with the Wild Cards series of books at all, it's a series of short story anthologies where there is this overarching universe with an overarching background and history and plot, and then the books are individual authors coming in and writing a story set in that world. We were lucky enough for the Unwritten Kickstarter to have David D. Levine do a story for us. That's actually available on the Cyan websites now in their digital download section of the store for free.
And David's a great writer, Hugo Award-winning writer, great guy overall.
Nebula, yeah, he's really talented, and it was fun bringing him up to speed on the Denis universe without overloading him, and I really like where he went with it. So everybody go read that, and then go buy more of his books.
Yes.
Yes.
The Arabella series is awesome.
There's that. I mean, there's just so many things we could do, and that we've talked about doing. Unwritten and the unexplored branches as a whole has a huge amount of potential, and I think it'll be really interesting to see how Cyan develops the unexplored branches beyond Unwritten, because unexplored branches, Unwritten is just one of those branches. It's not the whole tree. Um, you know, the games and the stuff Cyan has done to date is kind of one set of branches that we all know, and now we're starting to grow this other set of branches. So I'm really, something like an anthology would, probably fall more under Cyan's purview than Unwritten's, but it could also be Unwritten, but it could, yeah.
We're going to see
It's
what we can
very
get away with.
unexplored. Yeah.
We're going to see what we can get away with and what we can, manage to, ideas we can come up with, what we can manage to fund, what we can manage to get done. I mean, it really we're really only limited by, our respect for the setting already. So we want to make sure that, we mesh with, what we love and we think a lot of people love about the Myst universe. And only limited by that and our ability to get things done and an ability to pay people to help us.
Yeah. So funding.
Yes.
Funding is a big thing. To be able to do really quality unwritten content, we need to be able to pay people. We need to be able to pay for writers. We need to be able to pay for editing and layout and art. Otherwise, it's just V and I, trying to churn things out, and burnout happens. So we have launched a Patreon called Unwritten Journeys. I will put that link in the Discord.
I was going to say, put it into the Discord, toss
we'll
it
put
to
it
me,
everywhere.
and I can put it into the YouTube chat because we keep chat links restricted for the obvious trolling reasons.
Yeah.
But Discord's free.
And Twitter and everywhere that will go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, our hopes is that we can be able to provide some sort of regular, more explorations of those unexplored branches under the written name. And we have a lot of ideas. A lot of how much we can get done depends on how much people choose to be patrons of our idea. And I don't know, do you want me to go into some of the more detailed stuff?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what we're here for.
Woo! So one of the things that, once we get to some, an adequate, some basic levels of goals is I will be running a continuing unwritten campaign that will be, we'll do real play. So that we'll be able to, so people can watch and see what, what the sort of game that, as a developer, I might want to run. And that's going to be hopefully on a monthly basis. And patrons will get early access and that sort of thing as well. I'm currently gathering my group of players. I've got 3 so far. I'm looking for 1 more. So, if you're, really interested and can commit, we have a space. The game will definitely be, it definitely won't be, in the canon area all the time. So it's not, so we're trying to use this as an example of how much you can explore and how much you can do with Unwritten, narratively and mechanically. So that's going to be one big thing. We are going to, be putting out some regular content. And that could be anything from some puzzles to some posts about ideas at the start, at the very least. As we go, if we meet certain goals, which are on the Patreon, we'll be doing things like commissioning art to go with our content. We'll possibly be adding another monthly on video event. Probably may not be necessarily a game. We're still kind of working on what exactly that might be. We might get our friend Lenny Balsera, who designed the Fate system that Unwritten is based off of. We might be able to get him online for some discussion of role playing and what he loves about Myst, and how we can make more games in the Myst universe. He's a phenomenal writer, an incredible Myst fan. So if you saw our Q&A, he was in that. So hopefully we might be able to do some more of that. Once we get to some of the higher goals, we can start developing more detailed content. We can hire writers for regular content, including possibly Lenny. And then even higher from there, we can hire professional editors, layout artists, commission more art. And at some, hopefully the higher levels, we can start putting out regular supplement-like content for Unwritten. And then maybe, see what other sorts of things that we can do. It's that whole thing, we have a lot of ideas. We just got to have, the funding to do it. So that link will be going around, I think.
Yeah, I put it in Discord.
Yeah.
So you can.
So take a look, see what you think.
Fantastic.
Ask questions.
I will go ahead and pin that in the Discord.
So I see that we've got a couple more questions. You want me to start working on those?
Yeah, Vee, go ahead and read a couple of them.
Sure. First one doesn't have a name on it, but it says, how much fun is it to see people creating their own work and posting it? Examples, fan ages, sample characters, and adventures.
So much fun.
It's completely awesome, and you should do it. That was the whole point of Unwritten, was to give people more tools to make their own stuff. Everybody here loved Myst Online, and we loved the stories that were there. And what I discovered when I started playing J.D. Barnes was there's a lot of other things that you can do that don't require Cyan to be telling you a story. Even if you want to be purely canon, there's a lot of places that you can play in. And so the idea was that maybe with some extra tools and a little bit of inspiration, more people can do stuff. And we've seen some great ages. We've seen some great characters. We've seen some people who stumbled upon the role-playing game who were not Myst fans, and then started looking at what fans had made and then went, wow, this is a great universe, and now they're Myst fans. So yeah, create. Find a way, build a home.
Make all the things.
Make all the things and show it to us, and show it to everybody else, and
Yeah, we love seeing what people have done. If you're on the Unwritten Discord, go take a look at what Curator has been posting.
Oh my God, yeah.
That he's doing for the game he's running. My mind is blown every time. And then I just saw people had made stuff with the Unwritten logo on it, and it's just like, it's our baby.
I know.
Yeah, it's amazing, and we love hearing about games that you've run, adventures you've had. We're really hoping we can take this further. You might be seeing more of JD and Echo and maybe some other people running around online and in Cavern coming up.
JD finally figured out his key to Twitter interface.
So expect some increased activity in that regard over the next few weeks, months. We'll see what happens.
Sure. All right. So we got a question from Brainiac. Does the acquisition and sense of official canon now for Unwritten intimidate and or inspire you?
Yes.
Yes.
Both is
Yeah.
good.
Both. Yeah. We definitely spend, like Ellery said before, we spend a lot of time, running around like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, we can do this. And then there's also the sense of being able to make things for fans and understanding that, we want to do something that fans will like, and that's intimidating. We're playing in some areas, with, some things that people, love dearly. And, there's always a chance of, we might, do something that, someone doesn't like, and, we don't want to do things. We are not, once again, obviously, like we said, Unwritten isn't official canon, but it is this in this extended universe. But yeah, it's a lot of responsibility. It's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is occasionally, oh God. Yeah. One of the nice things is that since we're also working on the lore project with Cyan, there's there's ways for us to clarify things. We can ask questions of Cyan and say, hey, what about we occasionally come across things and go, wait, how does this, what? Like we were working on the timeline, that we released as a supplement, and that was something I'd been wanting to do for a long time, even before Unwritten was a thing. Was take and make a timeline of Denis and a timeline of the surface, and then what was happening on the surface when the Denis were having in the middle of the Pento War. And every once in a while there were things in there that was like, this doesn't match. Akinar was only born 6 months after the wedding. Not my fault. I can't change that. So, that's been a neat thing, is that we will hopefully be able to have that as a resource. And maybe even taking some lore that ended up not being canon but is still really interesting, and we can say, hey, can we use this in an Unwritten age, or can we you guys set this aside, but it's still a really cool concept, can we play with that? So fingers and toes
exactly.
crossed.
Okay, let's see, Hickory and Hummingbird. So could people play as Denis in an alternate timeline and face the moral dilemmas of what the art truly means to them?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that I think Myst fans are not so used to, but that role-playing fans are, is that, every game is its own little timeline, and you can go whichever direction you like. And you can go wild. I mean, it's your copy of the universe. So feel free to do whatever you like, and if you get somewhere you don't like, you can always boot up the original copy again. So yeah, I mean, alternate timelines, alternate Denis. The one that I always keep thinking of is actually a surface game, where it's sort of almost an intrigue sort of game where people are trying to find, people are tracking down rogue explorers who are using using linking books to commit crimes. And so we got sort of an X-Files, sort of thing of, tracking people down, of, who are, misusing the power of the art.
Like,
I mean, yeah, there's all sorts of options.
Half the librarians.
Yes.
Yeah. The Unwritten book itself is set post Uru, post canon Uru. But that doesn't mean you can't play historical Denis. You can't play, I mean, you could probably pull off playing super futuristic, the art in space. I mean, the mechanics don't change where the setting is. So, or the setting doesn't change the mechanics. So, you can play with it. I mean, I love to make an Unwritten module modification supplement for abduction.
Yeah.
The seeds are, and seeds in linking books work basically the same way in a lot of ways. There could theoretically in the future, TM, be a firmament, expansion.
Who
I
knows? I
want to
mean,
play,
there are lots
yeah,
of options.
Can I throw something crazy out there as just a
yeah,
casual pitch?
yeah.
Like, I know, just the moderator,
I
but
Do
know,
it,
go for it.
do it.
I'm thinking
Abuse
about
your power.
Tadelmer and the whole here's the Duddy uh, astronomy age, here's the Dunny, it kind of looked like they were building a proto spaceship out there.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Like, what if the Dunny never ended the Dunny space project and started settling across ages with space? Like, what if that had continued after the fall or something, or a bunch of
yeah,
Dunny had linked into Delmer and been fine and started categorize, uh, colonizing space for 500-600 years, and then we
yeah,
contacted them. Like, that would be a fantastic hook for a campaign.
Yeah,
yeah,
It's literally the sky's the limit. That
yeah,
is
oh yeah,
exactly.
literally how tabletop works.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
Um,
I
with
would run
Uru,
that. I would run a couple adventures of that for somebody
that
just
would
because
be
that
awesome.
sounds wild.
I know that we have, as part of the Kickstarter, we had fans help design ages, and some of those ages we haven't gotten to publish yet. One of them actually is a space-based age. It's a Denise space station, essentially. And hopefully that's one of those things that one of those bits of content we'll be able to get out one way or the other. So yeah, I mean, you know, it's it's that when you look at the the great tree of possibilities and go, wow, all the things I could do with this. It's like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I mean the ages you could write are completely limitless, and it doesn't have to be a here's an age that Denis had. The whole ending of Uru was that human beings were going to start learning and using the art for themselves
Mhm.
and creating their own ages. So if we can use Unwritten to give people the opportunity to do that, what age would I write if I had the capacity to, make a world? What would I do?
Mhm.
And it's not, oh yeah, the Denis were here. It's this is mine.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Cool. Next question's from David Nash. It says, as a full-time SF and fantasy writer, I would be interested in creating a series of books set in the Unwritten universe. Have you created a set of writer's guidelines and a submission procedure? No, we haven't. When it comes to that sort of thing, we haven't done a lot of prep work for that. It's more pie in the sky. This would be awesome. Uh, when and if we get to that depends on when we have time. Also funding. You're a writer. If you're going to write stuff for us, we're going to pay you, and we're going to pay you a good wage. Um, and so we have to have the funds for that. Hint, hint, Patreon. Hint, hint, Patreon. Um, but yeah, I mean, we are interested in exploring things in the future. You know, who knows what direction it'll go. Acrophile Heights Lover. That's a name. I love that name. Will shards be part of Unwritten's canon? Could be. Um, you know, we're we would love to have some to collaborate with the people who are working on the shards and who are making content there. And depends. We're happy to talk to people about that. Depends. It would be a collaborative thing. We're not going to use their content without their permission. Um, and we work together on what we want to do. It's definitely a possibility. I'm not going to make any promises yet because I have no clue what we'll have time for. But it sounds like an awesome idea.
And I think what Unwritten could do with, the shards, is one, branch of those unexplored branches. What other things officially happens with the shards is another branch all in its own.
Mhm.
And those may be similar and intertwined, and they may not. So, yeah, I mean, I'd like to see what Unwritten can do with the shards. Um,
Both in terms of representing the sort of creativity that people are, displaying in the shards, as well as using the shards as a place to run games or to supplement games. Um, we have a lot of once again lots of ideas.
the
I'll
idea
probably say that
list.
over and over again.
So many ideas.
So many ideas.
So many ideas.
Hey doke. Let's see here. Hickory and Hummingbird. That is super exciting. Will sessions be aired or private? I'm assuming that you're talking about the game that we'll be running. The sessions will be made public in some manner. Might be live streamed. That's, and then video on demand after that. So that sort of thing. We're still working on details on that. So don't place any bets on anything in particular I'm saying, but we're still working it out. But the idea is that we will have content that is public, and then we will have content and opportunities that are specific to the patrons and the Patreon. Usually easy, like things like early access, collaboration, more direct access to talk to us, that sort of thing. Let's see here. Kefrith. Hi, Kef. Question. I'm very interested in the concept of Unwritten, but I don't know how I'd make an ongoing campaign work with my erratic schedule. I'm also not very experienced with role-playing in general. Is there a way Unwritten can be enjoyed without a big recurring time commitment? Yeah. You can, something that we've done several one-shot games, whether at conventions or, online, like we did a month or so ago. Those are all options for playing. Some people love the long campaign that's gone on for years. Some people are just like, we can get together today, and we have an idea. Let's try it out. A couple sessions. No one's got anything going on this weekend. Just get a bunch of Mountain Dew. And let's stay up all night. So yeah, I mean, there's no one way to game in general, much less with Unwritten. If you can't campaign, if you can't get a game together, you're not in a place where you have enough friends, check online sites, that sort of thing. Hopefully we'll be able to host some of these things on the Unwritten RPG server. We can support people doing things there. And even if you can't get a game started, I mean, if you have ideas, write them down. I mean, I spend a lot of time on my role-playing game stuff just making characters. Like I wasted a good 4 or 5 hours this week just making characters and champions, for instance. And that's if you have an idea for an age, write it down, give it some aspects, kind of sketch it out, put it up, see what people think.
I think one of the video things we were talking about doing at some point was how to create a character in Unwritten, how to create an age in Unwritten. Just a pre-recorded video of this is how to take the Mist universe and bring it into this mechanical structure.
Mm-hmm.
Unwritten's pretty mechanics light. If you've played things like D&D 5th edition or Blessings on Your Soul Shadowrun, that games can be pretty mechanics heavy. Unwritten isn't, and you can actually get through most of an Unwritten game without ever picking up the dice. The dice are there to clarify things rather than clarify things and speed things along rather than make things happen.
One of the counterpoints of that being, though, that for people who have come out of systems that are more like D&D and Shadowrun, where you come out of choosing from a number of things that are already preset for you. I pick from my spell list, I pick from my feat list. The freeformness of, well, how do I choose? Like picking skills would be easy. You say, okay, well, all right, I know I'm good at surveying, I know I'm good at athletics, maybe, but how to form aspects and phrase them in ways that are unique to your character,
Mhm.
that's really an individualized thing that I've personally seen some of my friends who are good at tabletop, uh, but have never worked with a system like Fate find confusing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I agree that I think it might be really fascinating. Again, if I can just keep
Yeah.
hopping in
Keep
as mod
talking.
here,
Hey, you got the
to
bully
Yeah.
pulpit. Use it.
maybe have a kind of roundtable panel again be streamed. Maybe that's the
Mhm.
kind of thing you could have as Patreon content,
Mhm.
and then put up like eventually for free a couple months after it was on Patreon, right? Would
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
the kind of, well, here's a pulpit with you two plus a couple other people, like say me, who's got experience with Unwritten, a couple newcomers who have never played before,
Mhm.
and just say, okay, well, do you start from either the position of, I really know what I want a character to do mechanically already,
Mhm.
so here's how I build that, versus, and so I know what I want this person to do mechanically, so how do I design aspects around that,
Yeah.
Mhm.
versus I don't at all know how to build mechanically, but I have a strong emotional concept,
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
feel like those are two very different creation types in Fate,
Absolutely.
and they require
Absolutely.
very different thinking processes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In many ways, Fate does require a different mindset
It
than
requires
say
that
D&D.
heart, yeah, I think.
Um, and I think what we found in general, and I think a lot of Fate um, GMs and creators would agree with this, is that once people kind of get the hang of the mindset, they do really, really well. Especially actually people who haven't had a lot of experience with the more independent narrative games. It's sort of it's a lot of things that people have been doing already, just sort of as a attachment on top of here's my character sheet, and then they start listing off, well, this is what my character did, and this is why I chose that. You can take that same uh, you know, desire to kind of expand on the details and use that to fuel your Fate characters, and fuel the Fate game as well. Let's see here. Theo, is Unwritten limited to the same Cyan linking rules as the fan art age creators in the shards? Um, in terms of things that when we kind of will be making content ourselves as Inkworks, for supplements, we tend to stay with closer to the Cyan kind of standards, um, unless we're not. Uh, unless we're specifically deciding, looking at things and going, we want to mess with it. As a player of Unwritten, on a person who's running an Unwritten game, you can use whatever rules you like for linking, as long as you and your players agree on it. Once again, this is your copy of the universe to run with.
It's your
So
instance.
yeah, this is your instance. Have fun, and you have a lot more. It being pure, mostly narrative, you have a lot more options to say, well, what if it worked like this? Well, okay, let's have it work like that. You know, if you don't want, if you can add stuff, you can remove stuff. If you don't like the borrow, if that part of the game's never been really a big thing for you, then the borrow don't do anything. You can, say, well, the borrow were never there, or you can, choose, you know, to add in, like several factions of borrow and have them, doing, you know, Victorian style intrigue behind the scenes. I mean, there's, you know, if if you and your players enjoy it, then you can do it.
Yeah. I mean, the stuff that we write down, as unwritten content. Um, yeah, what V said, it will follow the basic rules unless we're not. And then we'll call out specifically, we're messing with things here.
Yeah.
Kitten.
You know, yeah, she's being very exploratory today. You know, one of my favorite apocrypha that I came up with several years ago was, what if human beings figured out how to get ink into inkjet printers and turned the Garo Hefty into a font? Could you make and then, you print the pages out, you bind them, poof, you've got a, descriptive book and a linking book. Innocent people were horrified by that. Oh my God, you can't do that. I'm like, but what if you could? But what, so that's definitely where some of the apocrypha will go is, but what if you could? Right now it says you can't, or it just, but what if you could? What would that look like? So
My first thought is immediate public transit with something like the Nexus, because what you do is you create a linking, you get a book to somewhere that you can use as a base stage, right? And then
yeah,
if you can just inkjet print a linking book, then you can start printing things out to to places in your city,
yeah,
and then you can print to you can have some kind of mass link out to a Nexus age, and then suddenly we all don't have to worry about airports
yeah,
anymore. Suddenly we don't have to fly anymore. Suddenly explorers can just start ambling off, and I want to go visit the Boston Brigade of Mysterium Committee people.
yeah,
So 3 seconds to link to the Nexus, flip through the list of books there, 3 seconds to link to Boston, I'm there.
yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
inkjet printers, I don't have to
We
spend
could have
5 hours
Mysterium
copying a
where,
book.
Mysterium is wherever. Here's the file for the linking page you need. Yeah,
Yeah, like there's the linking page you need. The most you have to do is find the nearest person, find the nearest city near you that has a linking book to
yeah,
the Nexus. So if, like, maybe I live in Rochester, New York. Now there's a few of us Mist fans in Rochester, so right, maybe I have a Mist book here because I'm here. But if I don't, maybe the next nearest one to me in Rochester is in New York City. Or, like, anybody in Massachusetts might travel to Boston.
yeah,
There might be, 2 or 3 in. So, suddenly you're only traveling a couple hours rather than halfway across the country.
yeah,
One of my headcanons is that, you look at Nexus and there's like, how does Nexus have all these books? How does Nexus have, links to my particular, instance of, Minkata? And and how does that get to, my friend over there? So one of my headcanons has always been, that those books are actually constructed on the fly.
Mm.
It's procedurally created, and there's some Denis writing machine in the back, or writing Garo Hefty, and then binding things together, and here's your book. But so I mean, lots of options. See, we've got another question here. Acrophile Heights. Once again, that's a cool name. Is Unwritten meant to be a game system one can buy and then have at home when in-person gaming is safe again? Get their D&D group together and try independent official gaming of an official gaming event? Absolutely. Um, it's Unwritten is intended for you to be able to take a piece, take your copy of the universe and run with it. Get together with your friends and play.
take it to conventions.
Take it to conventions.
So
I mean,
digital copies are available on the Cyan store under the digital downloads category, and that's the original book, and all of the supplements that are out are there. For a physical copy, you go to Drive-Thru RPG to get a physical soft cover, make all the notes in it, hit it with post-it notes. My copy is covered in post-it notes. You know, Unwritten is literally like any other gaming book out there as far as what you can where you can take it and what you can do with it. One of the things we were talking about is, okay, how do we start getting Unwritten out in brick and mortar stores, and then pandemic, so that's kind of gone on the back burner. But yeah, it's we've run it at conventions. We've seen other people run it at conventions. We've been working behind the scenes on a demo module that people can print and play. Print this out. Here's pre-made characters, or mostly pre-made characters. Here's the scenario. Take this. Go to your local favorite local gaming store and run an afternoon game so people can see it.
You actually just took a question that I was going to ask that wasn't on the question list straight out of my mouth, which was going to be, we're getting a lot of questions about how do I start with Unwritten, or what do I play if I don't have a lot of time and I only have time for a one shot, or I don't know about creating characters. So a question I was going to throw in for a lot of these people is, what about a starter adventure? Like, I know that you're going to be running one tonight and tomorrow for folks. I know that you've got one that you've run at other tabletop conventions as well. Are there plans for a small starter adventure that people can take home, like rather than one run at cons? Probably one different from the one you're running at cons.
Yeah.
A small start adventure with a couple pre-made characters and archetypes, something to take home for people so that they can look at it, see how it works.
Yeah.
Analyze that.
We definitely want to do that. Once again, funding, Patreon. We also have the idea of a quick start for people who are role players who don't know the Myst universe very well. So kind of, give them, here's your Denis 101 crash course. Once again, lots of ideas. We're going to try to help people get into Unwritten and gaming in general. I know a lot of, there are a lot of Myst fans who don't, engage with things like, your standard gaming groups and that sort of thing. And so hopefully it would be a good introduction.
I think we've done pretty well with that. Actually, Lenny and I were just talking about this the other day. We really set out to make Myst accessible to tabletop RPG people and tabletop RPGs accessible to Myst fans. And I think we've done well with that. And I think we're still, even to this day, I mean, it's been 5 years since we launched Unwritten. Has it been 5 years?
No.
We're still a little gobsmacked at how much overlap there is between Myst fans and RPGs. We still get comments of, where has this been all my life? How did I not know there was a Myst RPG? A Myst RPG, oh my God, that's the best thing ever. We still get people going, wait, how do you do a role-playing game in, when, it was only you?
Yeah.
The game, you were there by yourself. How do you do a role-playing game? And that's when we get to go, the Denis universe is bigger than the games. It's bigger than, it's bigger than Myst Island and those ages. And there's 10,000 years worth of history to play with, which makes our to-do list very, very large because there's so many. I mean, a module just set about, an entire supplement just set around the Pento War. There's just so much. And I really hope we get to do lots of it. I doubt we'll ever be able to do all of it, but I hope we get to do lots and 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 lots.
So Theo left a comment. The Cyan linking rules stated that fan age creators can only make linking books that the Denis could have made. No borrow stones, no journey cloths, no portals. The rules for the online content are Cyan's rules. When you do a game of Unwritten, so it's your copy. You can do what you want. You're not claiming that what when you run a game, you're not saying I'm making this official, and Cyan has to follow my stuff. No, but you get to go in whichever direction you like. in terms of unwritten content that we might write, we kind of have that, have that same sort of, we can go in different directions. I would love to write I'd love to write supplements just all about different ways to do, to handle the art. Let's do a deep dive on Nisha magic. Let's do it. Come on, So yeah, I mean, while we, since we're in the extended universe, and we currently ourselves in Unwritten have a kind of have the option to play with it. We, I said, when we have an idea that we think is interesting, we'll run with it, and we'll probably mark it as here's a weird idea that you might want to use. We'll mark it as apocrypha. And that doesn't have any effect on, how Cyan wants to, represent content that comes into Mist Online, which has a different set of priorities. So, we're not overriding, we're not, none of this overrides Cyan's rules or anything like that. It just, gives, options for people in their private stuff to, do things that, they want to. And I think that's all the questions we got.
I just want to step in and say thank you to the both of you for agreeing to come to Mysterium this year and give this talk. I especially appreciate it because I know that y'all might not have been able to make it out to DC if it had been DC this year. Although now that you've got another year to save up for it, maybe we'll see y'all next year.
Yeah, who knows?
Next year, lads.
Next year.
What's it? Next year in Dunhee, etc., except next year in DC. But I appreciate that you were able to drop in virtually. And I appreciate you telling us about all this cool stuff. It really seems like you have lit absolutely everyone on fire with the discussion of the unexplored branches and the discussion of
we're so excited
ways to do things. I mean,
we're
so
excited.
excited. Look at us all exploding. Everybody in chat, raise your hands, do your favorite emojis here. How many of us want to start contributing our own ages to Unwritten? How many of us want to sit down and start writing our own possibilities and chances and submitting things? Because
write, come up with your ideas, write them down, post them, show them on the Unwritten RPG Discord.
Come join us on the Unwritten RPG Discord.
Yes.
Please look at the streams. They're all me. We're all screaming.
But yeah, I mean, once again, and the whole point of Unwritten is that you can do your own stuff too. I mean, we love canon, we love hearing about official stuff, but we can write our own stories, and we can vary if we want, and that doesn't affect canon. That doesn't make Cyan's stories any less important, but it allows us to play with things.
And thank you guys for having us and hanging out. And
thank you very much. Thanks for people for listening to us. Don't forget, I'll be a little mercenary. There's a Patreon.
We have a Discord. Go buy our stuff. Buy Unwritten from Cyan because Cyan gets to see how much everybody loves it too.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, go to the Cyan store. Buy stuff. Their stuff in general. Buy Unwritten.
All right. Thanks, y'all. And we will see absolutely everybody in Discord.
And we'll see people for games tonight and tomorrow, too.
Exactly.